Now, a new report in Australia today is calling on the federal government to crack down on big tech firms who fail to ban trolls and bullies from social media. The Parliament's Social Media and Online Safety Committee has dedicated its findings to 15-year-old Tilly Rosewarne, who took her life in February after years of cyberbullying. Sky News contributor Erin Molan gave evidence to the committee revealing the vile abuse she's received, including trolls threatening her 2-year-old daughter. To discuss this and more, I'm joined by the chair of the committee, Lucy Wicks. Thanks for joining me, Lucy. Tell us about the threat here, really. Tell us about how serious this sort of online abuse and trolling is.
Well, it's really serious, Chris. I have to say we heard some really heartbreaking stories, gut-wrenching stories from witnesses, from really brave, vulnerable people who spoke up because they didn't want the stories that they had been through, the experiences they'd been through, to be the experiences of other people in the future. We heard from a wide range of witnesses. This was something that impacts, we heard from people who have disability, women in the public spotlight, women just doing their jobs. We heard from young people under the age of 18 who talked about some of the experiences they have undergone. And of course, I did speak directly with Tilly's mother as well, Emma, who shared with me the horrific story of her experience and her determination to speak up to make sure that changes are made. And I believe the report reflects the experiences of many people, but also their determination, a shared determination, and certainly shared by members of the committee to ensure that we can do all we can to keep people safe online.
So what's the answer here, right? Because behind the horrible messages, but behind every horrible threat and abusive term on social media, there's a human being. Now, sometimes they're anonymous, sometimes they are not, but it's a matter of either reining in that behaviour or stopping them using social media. We know the social media giants are pretty good at shutting down political lines they don't like. They stopped people, for instance, running the now serious theory that the coronavirus emanated from a Wuhan laboratory. They've also tried to shut down any discussion about vaccines and vaccine mandates and vaccine effectiveness. So what excuse do they have for not being able to filter out and shut down this sort of trolling and abuse?
Well, this was a point that was well made during around 11 public hearings that we had over the last 3.5 months about this. Big tech, for too long, I think the responsibility has been placed on the user to be able to keep themselves safe online. And that's the view of this report comes through pretty strongly, I think, Chris, that we really should flip that to make sure that social media platforms are bearing more of that burden to keep users safe online. And to your point, if they can do, if there is the possibility for them to be able to curtail information online using algorithms, there ought to be able to be more that can be done to keep people safe online when it comes to some really horrific cyberbullying and abuse. We're not talking about robust debate. We're not talking about dissent and disagreement or political discourse. We understand that this is an important part of the online world. We're talking about when it traverses into abuse, when abuse is used to belittle, to dehumanise, to demean, to degrade people, the long trail of trauma that leaves is absolutely not okay. More needs to be done. This government, I know, is determined to do more about this. Technology is evolving all the time. So while we've led the way in so many areas around online safety, certainly since 2015 with the establishment of a world-first Children's E-Safety Commissioner, there's more that needs to be done because technology is continually evolving.
Yep, we can't just accept this. We've got to clean it up. So it's a job well done. Let's hope it leads to some good reforms. Thanks for joining us, Lucy Wicks.
Thanks, Chris.
Now, the point is to share with people, of course, don't listen to the trolls and the abuse. Get off social media if there's too much of that, or at least ignore it. And, of course, if you are upset and feeling terribly traumatised by this sort of abuse, then seek someone out and speak to them, get some help. But better still, get off Twitter especially and other forms of toxic social media.